Dear Sagittarius, something strange happened last night. I don't know if you felt it, but in the stillness of that quiet night, a powerful current of energy pierced through the sky and reached all the way into my soul. Someone prayed for you, Sagittarius. And it wasn't just any kind of prayer. It was a calling of your name in the dark, from a heart that's breaking, or a soul that is no longer beside you, but has never stopped watching over you from the unseen. And at that very moment, I knew a gateway had opened. What I'm about to share with you now is something no one else can say. The real reason why your name was spoken last night, and what is about to change your life forever. Write this down beneath this video. I am ready to walk into the truth the universe has chosen just for me. These words aren't just a statement. They are a sacred declaration, like a key unlocking the path that is already calling your name. And if you feel something stirring in your heart right now, leave a like, share this video as a way of spreading this light to those you love. Because maybe they've also felt the shift, but didn't have the words. And now, Sagittarius, come with me. Let's return to the moment that prayer was whispered. Because the very instant your soul was called, a shockwave moved across the star map. Sagittarius, you are not alone. Something or someone is drawing near. And you need to hear this before it's too late. I still remember that feeling, a subtle shiver, not from my body, but from someplace deeper, as if something had moved in the unseen. And I knew someone had prayed for you, Sagittarius. It wasn't a repeated mantra. It wasn't a ritual recited out of habit. It was a real sacred calling from a soul that once knew your heart, that once loved you, or perhaps even hurt you, but never stopped thinking about you. At that time, the full moon in Pisces had just reached its peak. A cycle of emotion had closed, and yet it was the most powerful moment for deep spiritual vibrations to rise to the surface. That moon formed a square with Sagittarius, an uncomfortable angle, yes, but a necessary one. It opened a portal through which the most honest, raw prayers could enter the energetic layers of the cosmos. And you, the one who carries divine light, the one whose soul longs to be free, you were called by name. Do you feel it? That sudden pounding in your chest at 2 a.m., that flicker of light at the edge of a dream you couldn't quite name? That was no coincidence. That was the universe responding. You felt your heart pounding in the middle of the night, but no one touched you. That was the moment your soul was being called. And I say this with the deep humility of someone who has spent more than half a lifetime listening to these vibrations. When someone prays for you with all their soul, the universe is never silent. There is a truth the world often forgets. Prayer is not always an act of love. Sometimes it is a sacred warning sent from a soul who sees what you cannot. Someone who was once close to you, but now feels distant. And yet, in their moment of prayer, they saw something clearly that has been clouding your vision, surrounding you in silence, making you lose your way on a path that once felt so clear. Maybe it's a shadow in your energy field, maybe it's a quiet curse, or maybe it's simply a relationship that has expired. But you're still holding on. The moment that prayer was spoken, the 12th house, the house of the unconscious, of dreams, of the collective soul connection, began to move. And what's extraordinary is this. For Sagittarius, the 12th house is always the passage of rebirth. I want you to try something with me. Close your eyes, just for a few seconds, and ask yourself, who is the person whose energy you still feel? Even if they are no longer beside you, maybe you no longer speak, maybe you thought you had moved on. But every time you feel weak, that image returns. A song, a breeze, a passing phrase, and your heart goes still. That's them. Or more precisely, that is their soul, praying for something, on your behalf. I believe the most sacred prayer is the one that has no words. It does not need to be spoken, only felt deeply enough to reach the vibrational realm of the divine. And if that prayer was released during the recent full moon in Pisces, while your 9th house of faith and purpose was activated, then this is no longer a simple feeling. It is divine will. The life lesson I want to share with you, Sagittarius, is one I had to pay dearly to understand. Not everyone stays in your life forever, but that doesn't mean they didn't once love you deeply enough to pray for you one last time. And sometimes, that love isn't meant to pull you back, but to help you move forward with eyes that are finally open. So, what did they pray for? When I traced the energy of that prayer, I saw three things. Protection for your soul, because something is approaching you, not through words or actions, but through the energetic realm. An undeniable sign, a moment of truth, to help you no longer doubt your intuition or second-guess your clarity. And the unlocking of financial blessings, because you've given so much, and it's finally time for you to receive. Sagittarius, you are a soul of fire, a pioneer, a seeker, a student, but also the one chosen to spread faith to others. It's no surprise your name was whispered in the night, because the light you carry sometimes brings healing to others, and sometimes threatens the shadows that want to silence you. Write this below the video once more if you feel something shifting inside you. I have been called, and I am ready to step into the most sacred moment of my soul. Let these words become your activation for all you've been waiting for, through all these long years. And when I followed the thread of that prayer's energy, I saw something that does not belong to you, clinging to your aura. A shadowy presence, a familiar face, someone you once thought was your ally, but they weren't. And if you're still listening now, it means you're ready to face a quiet but difficult truth. Someone, still close to you, is holding you back with blessings that aren't truly from the heart. Dear Sagittarius, there is something I believe, not because I read it in a book, but because I've lived long enough to understand it myself. Some smiles only reach your lips, but never touch your heart, and not everyone who stays silent does so out of respect. Sometimes, silence is their way of hiding what they truly think of you. This week, the light of the sun is shining directly into your 7th house, the house of relationships. And when that light enters, everything that has been hidden slowly begins to reveal its shape. There are people you once considered a safe place, but now you feel exhausted after every conversation with them. They don't say anything overtly negative, yet somehow your heart feels heavier each time you meet. And sometimes you wonder, am I just being too sensitive, or is there really something wrong here? And this is what I want to say to you, not as a judge, but as someone walking beside you. You are not too sensitive. You're just beginning to listen to your intuition, the same voice you once ignored, out of politeness. I know this about you, Sagittarius. You always want to believe in the good within people. You give them another chance, more time, because you don't want to doubt them. But kindness needs boundaries, and forgiveness must have limits. There is a lesson I learned when I was younger, and I want to pass it on to you today. Not every enemy carries a knife. Some simply stand by as you collapse on your own and do nothing to lift you up. Have you ever felt like someone was holding you back, even though they never said so directly? They don't stop you from moving forward, but every time you try to fly, they remind you of your fears. They ask, are you sure that's safe? Do you really think you're that good? Or simply, what's the rush? Right now, Saturn is in retrograde, reactivating old lessons, especially around control within relationships. And for Sagittarius, the one born to be free, any form of control is an invisible chain. Saturn is asking you, are you still in this relationship out of love or out of obligation? Are you staying because of care, or because you're afraid of disappointing someone? Think of the person who always makes you hesitate right before a big life decision. Someone you once trusted, someone you once cried with, someone who once held you. But lately, you don't feel as comfortable anymore. You find yourself editing your words around them. You feel your energy being drained without knowing why. Let me share a story with you. There was a woman who once told me, every time she received good news, a raise, a new project, an invitation to speak, her best friend would only smile and say, but don't forget who got you here. It sounded harmless, but over time, she realized that sentence wasn't a reminder. It was a claim to power. Have you ever had someone like that, Sagittarius? And the truth is, you've prayed to see things clearly. Or as you just heard in the earlier part, someone else may have prayed for you, so you could finally face what you weren't yet ready to name. That prayer wasn't just spoken in love. It was a plea for you to have enough light to see the shadow disguised as a friend. Astrology isn't here to judge people. It helps you understand energy flow, so you can choose which paths you truly want to keep. For Sagittarius, the greatest lesson is not in fighting others, but in gently recognizing what no longer belongs and pulling your energy back with grace. Write this under the video if you feel this mirrors something recent in your life. I choose to keep my light and release what only dims me. I know it's not easy to let go of someone familiar. It's not easy to name a toxic relationship when there's no visible harm, no direct cruelty. But sometimes the delays they bring into your life are the quiet ways they suffocate your soul. You are Sagittarius. You weren't born to stay still. You were born to cross thresholds, to ask big questions, to live a life not just of survival, but of discovery and illumination. And to do that, you need relationships that nourish you, not ones that cage you. And here's the strange thing, Sagittarius. That prayer from last night, when I followed the frequency of it, didn't just warn you about who's slowing you down. It also whispered the return of someone who once loved you deeply, but turned away. Someone whose energy still lingers in your heart. And they are coming back. Not with words, but with a feeling you're just beginning to notice inside your own chest. Love doesn't always end with a breakup. Sometimes it ends with silence, with distance. And one day you realize they're no longer here. But somehow their energy never really left. In the nights you thought you'd moved on, they still appeared in your dreams, that familiar figure, that voice, that silent gaze. And you ask yourself, why am I dreaming about them now when I was finally okay? The answer lies deeper than your mind. It's written across the stars. Right now, Venus, the planet of love, memory, and beauty, is returning to the exact place it once illuminated on the day you were born. And when that happens, it's not just emotions that come back, but someone who once felt everything for you is feeling you again. They're dreaming about you. They're remembering what was left unsaid. They're searching for something that only you ever gave them. And you might not believe this, but I can feel it very clearly. They've been praying for you, not with words, but with emotion. Do you ever feel someone thinking of you each time you're just about to let go? Maybe when you're walking down the street and a song plays that stops your heart. Or when you glance at an old coat and a wave of emotion rises, one you can't name. That's them. Not their body, but their soul, touching yours. I'm not telling you a fairy tale. I'm revealing a real light, the one that shines through the quiet cracks in your heart. This is not a romantic fantasy. This is what I feel, what the cards and the sky have whispered to me, that someone who once walked away is now awakening. But here's what you must remember. Not everyone who returns deserves to stay. When a soul begins to evolve, they start to see what they couldn't before. They recognize your presence, your light, as something rare. They left because they weren't ready. They didn't understand you. Worse, they didn't understand themselves. But now, they're seeing more clearly. They're healing, and they can feel you've changed. Your energy isn't the same anymore. You're not staying out of longing. You're not waiting out of emptiness. You've stepped into a new level of awareness, where love no longer clings in fear of loss, but stands in peace when it's present. This is what you need to ask yourself, and only you can answer honestly. If they came back, do you still need them? Or do you just need an answer, an apology, a clear ending, to finally close the chapter you never could? The love that once made you cry doesn't have to return, so you can cry all over again. Sometimes, it returns only to show you that you've already walked past it. But you know what's special here? There's something sacred. Real love never disappears. It just changes shape. It shifts energy. And if they've truly grown, if their soul is awakening as the stars now reveal, then this time they're not returning to possess you. They're returning to honor your presence in their journey. Here is a life lesson I want to leave with you. Let love find you in the place you've healed, not in the place where you once broke. If they truly love you, they won't love you out of need. They'll love you out of awareness. Write this in the comments if this message touched your heart. I choose love born from healing, not from repetition. And you know what, Sagittarius? I feel like this still isn't the end. Your soul is preparing for something much bigger. Not just love, but a divine reshuffling of every relationship around you. To prepare for that, there's a truth you need to know. There is a third person, not your ex, not the one who prayed for you, but someone who once intervened to stop something sacred from reaching your life. Dear Sagittarius, There is a quiet pain no one ever teaches us how to name. It's when love is still alive, but the person you love has turned away from you. Not because you did something wrong, but because someone else, in silence, cut the thread between two hearts. And you ask yourself, how could this happen? How could someone who once looked at me with such softness become so distant, so cold, so silent, as if I never existed? You wake in the middle of the night with that sinking feeling, like something precious slipped away before you even had the chance to hold on. And the most painful part is you never knew who was behind it. But today, I will say aloud what your soul has long felt but never received confirmation for. There was a third person. Someone who seemed unrelated, someone you once trusted, someone you may have even thanked. They intervened, not loudly, not directly, but with subtle words, clever glances that planted doubt, and they broke what was beginning to blossom in your life. In astrology, Lilith, the dark point in your birth chart, represents the hidden forces, the energies that manipulate from the shadows. And right now, Lilith is moving through your fourth house, the house of roots, inner emotions, and the people inside your home. That means the interference didn't come from a stranger. It came from someone you once called family, a best friend, or even a spiritual guide. Someone close enough to earn your trust, but silently carrying a jealousy too subtle to name. Have you ever felt it? That someone turned the one you loved against you, yet you could never prove why? All you know is, after one conversation with them, your person started doubting you. After they came close, you stopped receiving warm hugs, gentle messages, or those small acts of love. And slowly, you started doubting yourself. You thought maybe you had done something wrong. You blamed yourself for not trying harder. But the truth is, someone didn't want to see you happy. Not because you were unworthy, but because your light made the shadows in them feel small. I know, this may be difficult to hear. But please let me say it with all the gentleness of a heart that has once shattered. Not everyone who stands beside you in pain wants to see you rise. Sometimes, they just want you to stay broken, so they never have to face the possibility of you flying higher than them. I once worked with a woman, a Sagittarius, just like you. She had a best friend, always by her side, listening to every word she poured out about her first love. But you know what? That friend, behind her back, reached out to the ex and planted subtle doubts. Do you think she's really being honest with you? Is she ready for a family? Isn't she a bit wild? Just a few soft words. That's all it took to make love crumble. Not because they stopped loving each other, but because that third person opened the door for doubt to seep in. Sagittarius, you always want to believe everyone is pure-hearted. But now is the time for a deeper lesson. Not all light is warm. Some light is just a polished mask. If any part of this feels like your truth, write it in the comments. I release silent manipulation and keep truth for my soul. You don't need revenge. You don't need to confront them. The universe saw it all. And like every divine law, what you didn't create, you don't have to carry. The one who planted separation is now beginning to feel the consequence. Not because you cursed them, but because energy always returns to the source it came from. And now, something beautiful is coming your way. But it can only enter if you're willing to let go of the relationships that seem good but secretly drain your light. And when you begin to let go, when you begin untangling each old thread of energy from your soul, you'll see something unexpected. Not only is the past returning, but a new doorway in money, work, and your true place in the world is opening. I want you to take a deep breath, because what I'm about to say isn't a prediction. It's a confirmation of something your heart has already been sensing. Something big is coming. A cycle is closing, quietly, without warning. Just one day you wake up and realize where you are no longer nourishes your soul. Maybe it's the job you once dreamed of. Maybe it's the relationship that once healed you. Maybe it's the city that once felt like home. But now, everything has changed. From the astrological lens, Jupiter, your ruling planet, is preparing for a rare trine with Pluto. A cosmic handshake that brings power back, awakens financial flow, and repositions your soul. When these two planets align, what has long been buried will begin to rise. And you, the seeker of truth, the bearer of vision, can no longer stay in the cage that once helped you grow. I want to ask you this, with all the respect for the path you've walked. Are you staying somewhere just because it used to be good for you? Or are you holding yourself back because you're afraid that if you leave, you might have nothing left? I've thought that way too. I've held on to a place, a person, a job, simply because they were once a blessing. Until I understood. The place where you once grew is not always the place you're meant to stay. And you know what? That prayer I felt last night was the trigger for a rare window of energy. A thin but powerful opening where you can step away from what no longer serves you without leaving destruction behind. A new opportunity is heading toward you. I see it clearly. A door you thought was shut is quietly swinging open. From the very place you once turned your back on, someone texts you, asking if you want to start over in a new city. A person who once rejected you now wants you to lead the project. Or maybe just a strange inner nudge that makes you ask, is there something waiting for me somewhere else? Sagittarius, you are a child of the sky. Your soul cannot bear captivity. You may stay out of duty, out of loyalty, but you will wither if you can no longer expand, explore, and live your truth. Do you dare to choose yourself again, even if it means leaving the familiar behind? Are you ready to leave what once felt like home, to go find the true home of your soul? Do you have the courage to step through the gate now opening before you, even if you don't know what's waiting on the other side? If your heart is saying yes right now, write this below the video. I'm ready to step into what's greater for me. The universe needs your permission. Just one sentence, but it is the agreement that allows the blessing to arrive on time. Someone once told me, sometimes you have to leave not because the place is bad, but because your energy has grown beyond its frequency. You're not changing because you're arrogant. You're changing because your soul has finished learning what it came there to learn. And now, Sagittarius, here's what gave me goosebumps when I pulled your final card today. The world, a full circle, a cosmic gate, an affirmation that what's coming is far beyond what you've ever dared to dream. And it's only for you, if you believe you deserve more than what you've been settling for. So Sagittarius, pack your bags, not just the physical ones, but the emotional ones, the energetic ones. A new journey is waiting to be named by you. Dear Sagittarius, if you're still here with me right now, I know that you're not just listening to a message, you're returning to the most sacred part of yourself. I know you've walked through days that no one knew about, nights when only your soul bore witness. There are losses you couldn't name, choices you had to make in silence, and things you let go of, not because you were weak, but because you chose peace. I thank you for having the courage to stay until the end, for opening your heart, and for giving me the honor of whispering what your soul has waited so long to hear. Leave a comment below. I'm ready to walk through the gate of my destiny. That's not just a declaration. It's a signal to the universe that you're ready for the miracle. If this journey meant something to you, share this video with someone you love, because maybe, just maybe, they too are walking through the dark and no one knows. And don't forget to like and subscribe. There are deeper, brighter messages still to come, ready to reach you at the exact moment you need them most. Thank you, I'm always here to remind you that you are not alone, and the best thing is still on its way. See you soon.